Let's start off by building our request. So first off, in our restaurant service, we're going to have const restaurant request. And this is going to be a request to get restaurants, right? So anytime you do this, you need to think, okay, what does my restaurant request need in order to get the information for the restaurants? Well, the first thing we need is the location. And so by getting the location, we'll be able to retrieve whether or not it's Toronto, Chicago, or anything else. Now, if we go look at our mocks, they're based on a longitude, latitude. So this is a position on a map. And so that is going to be the location that we'll be requesting by. So anytime we get a location, and so we'll put our default location to San Francisco. Just for now, we'll say that in the service, the default location is equal to San Francisco. What we can do inside of here is we can say, okay, well, I need to import my mocks, and I need to import those from /mocks/ we can do index, or we can just do this, which will pull the index. So now that we have our mocks, we can console.log mocks. Okay, so how do we run this? Well, first of all, we can't really run it right now because we don't have any availability. We haven't imported this anywhere. So the way that we can quickly and easily test this is we can, for instance, import it at the top level. So we could say like import something like import restaurants request, and then we could say from, this is not the final implementation, but this is just for us to like see what's going on, /source/services/restaurants, and then we'll do restaurant service. And over here, we have to make sure that we export this, right? Because we're importing this specifically. And so now we can go to our terminal and we can see what is going on here. So when we run this, what we can see is all of the mocks that are available, and they're massive, massive, massive objects. So if we were to say that we wanted a specific mock, we could take our location and we could say, let's console log our location. So our location is this, and we know that this massive object takes the location as a key. So if we did mocks location, we should get an object, right? And surely enough, we do. And we know that it's San Francisco because of the places that are coming back from it. So with that, we now have a mock of a location. Okay, so we have a mock of a location. And so with that mock of a location, we now know that we can pull specific mock information from specific spots as long as we have the right key. So our mock information is already set up for us properly over here. So in this case, what we need to do is whenever we do an API call, it's going to be something called a promise. And a promise is something that you have to await. It's something that runs asynchronously. It's something that happens in the future. And so because we want our request to mimic as close to a real API as possible, what we need to do here is, well, the mocks location returns almost immediately because it's local, right? So we have to mimic as if it was a promise. So we'll return new promise, and then we'll do a new promise takes a resolve and a reject function. And what we'll do is we'll go inside the function of this and we'll say get the mock. So const mock is equal to mocks location. And then we'll say if you don't have a mock for this location, reject and say no location, not found, right? Not found. That's the first thing we got to do. And then once we do that, it becomes pretty easy. If we do have a mock, we'll resolve the mock. Okay, so now that we have this, what's going to happen over here is, what is our console log going to give us? Well, this is now going to be a .then, right? So anytime you create a promise, it is now .denable. So it's awaiting something in the future. This is a way of basically saying our restaurant request is not going to return immediately. It's going to return sometime in the future. So we're doing .then, and .then returns us the result as an inner function. So by doing this syntax, we'll be resolving the inner function and we'll have the result. And if we then do .console log result, we'll retrieve the result now. So now we can see that we have our result again. So we're getting the actual return of San Francisco information. Now, if we did .catch, we could see what would happen if we got an error. So if we got an error, console.log error, right? We would see what would go on if we actually got the error. So if we filled in a location here that doesn't exist, like something random, what we're going to see over here at the bottom is an error case happen, right? Error. Now, what is the error? Well, the error is not found because it can't find this location. This does not exist. So with that, we have to know now that we're mimicking a real API in a very, very simple fashion. Okay, so in the next video, we'll look at the shape of the data and what it's returning us.